Welcome back, True Seeker. Going to go over some of the recent headlines today, the last few days. Haven't been as active over the past weekend. Sweet lady had some days off, so I spent more time with her. But since February 16th, it's been a top story. One of Putin's largest critics, who ran an opposition party to him, found dead at age 47 on the 47th day of the year. And now the latest headline out of this is his wife, who's also 47, is going to continue his cause. And that's Alexei Navalny. His wife is Yulia. And if you're new here, again, a 47-year-old dead on the 47th day of the year. This isn't anything special to Russia. This is the type of ritual that goes on worldwide. And there's a order worldwide that's all about 47. They study the 47th problem of Euclid. And that order came over here once upon a time and set up this nation's birthday on the 4th day of the 7th month. And again, that order is Freemasonry. But understand, modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation, and the Jesuits are the military order of the Catholic Church, the same one that's worldwide. And for anyone who just watched Putin's interview with Tucker Carlson, he began the interview by talking about the history of the church and how it's connected to everything that's unfolding. And we know that the war in Russia with Ukraine began on February 24th officially, which is the day in history that the Roman Catholic Church's calendar rolled out. The one that says today, the day I'm doing this broadcast, is February 20th, 2024. Again, we are in the Roman Catholic Church's calendar. And with regards to 47, we did just have a Super Bowl, the first one ever on the Vatican's birthday. And what was the score of that game? It was 25-22 for 47 points. And Gematria. Vatican is one of these things that has the numerical value of 47 as well as 25. 25-22 for 47 points on the Vatican's birthday. If you're new here, Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. Again, you look at the English language. It's credited to a Catholic monk. It was standardized as a 26-letter alphabet at the same time the Gregorian calendar was rolling out. So the Catholic Church is behind the calendar and the language. And again, it's the Catholic Church after the Crusades that brought back the knowledge of Kabbalah, where this whole Gematria thing comes from. I just want you to see how the words president equal 47 and president equals 133. Because what we're about to get into is how this Navalny person died at age 47 on the 47th day of the year on the 133rd day of Vladimir Putin's age. And again, these same rituals take place worldwide. It's just like how Donald Trump, when he first took the stage on Fox News back in, was it 2015? I think it was 2015. 2015, maybe early 2016, somewhere around there. I think it was 2015. But first time he took the stage, Fox News, first Republican debate with the whole field of candidates, Ben Carson, Jeb Bush, Chris Christie, all that whole cast of characters back then. First time Trump came up on the stage, what did they have to say? They had to say that they put it right up on the screen. According to Forbes, Donald Trump, the 133rd richest person. And president's 133, and in this country, White House is 133, and government's 133. And you might have noticed how all those words were 133, 47. Government, White House, president. These things aren't an accident. It's why these numbers are used ritualistically all across the world. So in Russia, it's that this opposition to the president, Putin, was killed in this perfect ritual. And again, I mean, for years, they've been saying the same thing. People need to recognize this 47 pattern because it's everywhere when you pay attention. A year ago, the CEO of YouTube, Susan Wojcicki, or however you say her name, she stepped down on the 47th day of the year and was replaced by a 47-year-old man. And you might have saw the headline right as we approached this anniversary. Actually, the headline broke right after that anniversary about her son being found dead. And we'll talk about that. And I put up a simple post on that that was just nothing but information. And Twitter took down my post for hate speech. It's like, weird, hate speech. There wasn't anything hateful in my thing. I was just pointing about the significance of what's reported in her son's death. And again, understand Elon Musk, another one of these puppets that works by this same code. Elon Musk, when he first got on the scene, it was a big 47 ritual with his rocket. We were just talking about that the other day. But Elon Musk doesn't run anything. He doesn't run any car company, any rocket company. He doesn't run Twitter, now X. He's another puppet on the world stage. It's this cabal. It's these secret societies that run this world. And that's what people need to understand. And everyone's lame duck arguments like, well, how could secrets be kept by so many people? It's like, are you not the same person who doesn't recognize that these secret societies exist in every town in America? I mean, you start talking to the same people who repeat these things like, these secrets couldn't be kept. And then you start questioning, they're like, oh, I didn't even know about that secret site. Oh, I didn't realize how many of the founders were in that secret society. Oh, I didn't realize almost every single founder was in that secret society. It's like, but here you were 5 seconds ago saying secrets can't be kept. They've been kept your whole life in front of your face. People got lodges in your own town. You don't even recognize it. You know, we just talked about how Vladimir Putin and Tucker Carlson, that whole puppet show, was all synced up with this Roman Catholic Jesuit cabal on their calendar in a perfect ritual by the numbers. Tucker Carlson, all these fake woke people just woke up in recent years. Donald Trump woke them up to fake news. Let's not forget Donald Trump in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel the night of his rig selection after he announced from the 58-story Trump Tower that he was running for the 58th presidential election. And again, you don't think he's in the club? Freemasonry 58. What's the honorary degree of Freemasonry? Oh, the Apprentice. Get it? Secret Society 58. All the secrets in Solomon's Temple. You know. Whoops, I'm missing the no. Solomon's Temple, another 58. Hillary's book about why she lost, titled What Happened, 58. Trump hiring the 58-year-old Steve Ray for Inauguration Day. Takes office with the 115th Congress. Steve Ray's Nationals win the 115th World Series. 138 days after Donald Trump's birthday. Throwing 159 pitches. Go check the box score. Donald Trump 138. Nationals 138. Dave Martinez 138. The manager of the team. American baseball, American football, basketball, all accredited to Freemasons. First Super Bowl season, the 47th season of the NFL. So for other familiar patterns, this Alexei Navalny died 257 days after his own birthday. That's the 55th prime number, and his name in Gematria is 55. His name's also 145 and 71 like Catholic. You know, Israel established on 14/5 in a big Catholic ritual because there's 145 more books in the Catholic Old Testament. The war in Israel begins on Putin's 71st birthday, 71 days for the popes. This guy just happens to have those big Catholic numbers connected to the war that connect with Putin. His name's also 206, like in Jewish Gematria, sacrifice is 206. And in light of him dying 257 days after his birthday, blood sacrifice is 257. Again, that's the 55th prime, and we're going to talk about how Susan, the former CEO of YouTube, how her son died while she's 55, and you see how Satan's 55, and you see how the synagogue of Satan is 223. Well, her son just happened to die 223 days after her 55th birthday. And you know what they say about the synagogue of Satan, right? From Revelation. They're liars. And I remember when Susan was still the CEO of YouTube, and she did an interview with some popular YouTuber, and you know, it was kind of like, well, maybe YouTube's been censoring people too much. This was after like the period of 2017. That was the year I lost about 15 channels just in a single year, including my channel for the first time, which was shortly after Donald Trump took office. And he was saying how he'd like to censor all of his critics. And, you know, who was one of his biggest critics on the tube? It was yours truly. And back then I actually got views. All these people think Donald Trump is Mr. America. No, he's not. He's Mr. My mail order brides from the Far East. You know, I'm down with communists. I'm all about censorship. Here, I'm going to lock down America on the World Health Organization's orders and champion the jab, the experimental jab, also from overseas. But anyway, here, well, we'll transition to Susan. It's just, you know, with regards to the wife who's now taking over at age 47, notice her birthday is July 24th. 24/7, the Illuminati, founded by the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, 247 years old. There's been so many 247 rituals while the Illuminati's been 247. It's crazy. Started on their May 1st birthday. There was a playoff game between the Celtics and 76ers. 76ers were a 13.5-point dog that day on the Illuminati's birthday, founded by 13 families. And we loved the 76ers to win that day because there were two 247s lined up on that day against the Celtics. And sure enough, the 13.5-point dog won when the Illuminati was founded in 1776 and the 76ers won. And notice she was born in the 200th anniversary of the Illuminati. Which also means it was in their 201st year of existence. Go figure. Reminds us of all the 201s in Russia, Ukraine, including Vladimir Putin and Biden meeting on Pearl Harbor Day right before the war began, 201 days after the first Jesuitic nation year began. Let's not forget that Joe Biden sacrificed his whole family in 201 rituals. And Hawaii, again, Pearl Harbor, was established 201 months after Joe Biden was born. Let's not forget Joe Biden equals 64 like Maui, and he waited till Hawaii's 64th birthday as a state to show up to say sorry about what happened in Maui. That was 13 days after the fires, like the Committee of 13 once overthrew Hawaii. But yeah, this woman, she's got the perfect birthday for this ritual. And then notice it was February 19th, 219, that she came out and said she would champion her husband's cause. Her name, Yulia Navalny. I guess apparently she spells her last name a little bit different than the husband. But anyway, 219, and run it the other way. It's also 51, and she's front and center today, also in the media. CNN's got her as the top. Here, let's see if CNN changed it. She was the top story. Yeah, she's still the top story here on the 51st day of the year. So again, Gematria, 4 base ciphers, alphabetic order, forwards and backwards with numerology. Her name in 2 of the ciphers comes out on 219. And then on the 51st day of the year, making even more noise about it. But I also want to remind people, Roman Catholic equals 132 and 219, right? And for example, Antonin Scalia equals 132 and 219, and he dropped dead on 13/2, and then his body laid in repose in 219. The reason I bring this up is because, again, Putin just did his interviews saying how this whole war goes way back centuries into the history of the involvement in the church in that region. And we did just talk about how the man died on Putin's 133rd day of his age, which is true. You could also say he died 132 days after Putin's birthday. Okay. And let's not forget, like Pope is 56, and so is Society of Jesus, which serves the Pope, and the Pope was over in Russia with Putin on the 56th day of the year, the day after the war officially began, on the anniversary of the Gregorian calendar rolling out, named after the Pope, and of course, Pope's 52 as well. But yeah, this is how, again, if people would just take the time to learn this knowledge, they would not get sucked in by all this propaganda. They'd see that there really is a new world order, as so many leaders have talked about, including our own presidents. George H.W. Bush did it 11 years to the day of 9/11 when the World Trade Centers came down. Just like Donald Trump being over in Switzerland, talking about world trade in China, and how he said the world will never be the same again after his trade deal with China. And again, Trump's trade deal with China was signed off on January 15th, 2020, the day COVID supposedly arrived in the U.S., but it wasn't confirmed until January 21st, which was the day Trump was at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, gloating about his trade deal in a perfect numerical ritual. Again, that was his 222nd day of his age, like World Economic Forum's 222, Wuhan coronavirus is 222, Order Out of Chaos is 222. But yeah, it's just that's why it gets so irritating watching these other channels that YouTube's allowed them to exist and grow audience and have a big platform. Just constantly take slights at my work and be like, oh yeah, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't reveal anything. And then these same people are talking about this, in the same way the mainstream does. Like, oh yeah, that Putin, he's a bad guy. He poisons a lot of people. How about your country? How many people does your country kill? By the same code, nonetheless. Again, these people are all operating under the same cabal. Where were the Jesuits saved, by the way? Oh, yeah, that's right. The Jesuits were preserved in Russia by Catherine the Great, who preserved the order with 201 Jesuit priests. I wonder why there's been so many 201 rituals between Russia and the U.S. and this war in Ukraine and now what's unfolding in Israel, which is also, it just had to start on Putin's birthday. And he's in Ukraine, right, where a lot of the Ashkenazis come from. Most people don't even know what the word Ashkenazi is, the word that ends with N-A-Z-I in it, which is the ancestry of the modern-day Jews. Isn't that weird? That Nazis went after the modern-day Jews, the Ashkenazis, who come from Russia, Ukraine area. Remember when the war in Russia-Ukraine began? Do you remember how Facebook lifted its hate speech policy? Do you guys remember that? Go back and look. Facebook lifted its hate speech policy when the war with Russia-Ukraine began and said you were allowed to do hate speech towards Russians and Putin. Who runs that? Oh, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg, supposedly another puppet who has the same birthday as Israel. Go figure. 14/5, like the 145 more chapters in the Catholic Old Testament. It's amazing how many people are still parading around and being like, it's Jew bankers that run the world. It's like, okay, if that's the case, how come they used Israel as the biggest guinea pigs for the experimental gem? And how come this just happened to, this puppet former CEO? How come she just lost her son in a synagogue of Satan ritual? I forgot to talk about just the point about what a liar she was. Somehow I let that slip out of my mind. But again, do see that her son's dead 223 days after her 55th birthday. He was found dead last Tuesday, February 13th. News just broke the other day, right after the anniversary of her resigning. It's funny how her son was found dead at Berkeley. I had a friend who went to Berkeley when I first found this knowledge in 2013. Shout out to Angelina, wherever she is. She was my biggest hater. She was going nuts. She's like, Zach, you sound like such a schizophrenic. This is so dumb. It's like they should be teaching this at Berkeley. Angelina, she forgets who taught her how to drive a stick. Anyway. This woman, I was going back how she was being interviewed by this YouTuber, and she just blatantly lied. She said, well, with our new policies, we're no longer going to take down channels if they get strikes for videos they made in the past. Well, we'll only be taking down channels if it's a current video that they just made. It was like a week after that interview went up, I lost like another channel, and I got like a bunch of quick strikes for an old videos. I was like, she just did this interview saying they weren't going to do this anymore. Now I get deleted just days later. Oh, God, these people are the worst, man. And for all of you guys who come around here with your lame, it's the hive mind. I hate the hive mind of our society. Just like how everybody's brain dead together, has the same idiotic thoughts together. New person's always here like, I just think this is the way the world works. I don't think anyone's doing this. I think it's just all the universe. It's like, okay. I'm not denying there's an organic side, but if it was just the way the universe worked, the media wouldn't need to propagandize you and lie to you every single day and steer you astray every single day. They wouldn't need to put out the same poison and venom in all their forms of entertainment to mislead everyone the wrong way every day. They wouldn't have to douse the world in drugs and alcohol to destroy people's lives every day. They wouldn't have to delete information on social media platforms that go against mainstream narratives, that go against the propaganda every day, if everything was just unfolding naturally. Again, there's just a million pounds of evidence that we're not just living in some simulation where everything's just unfolding. It's like people don't know how to weigh facts and evidence. They go back to all these childhood ideas. They're singing in their head the whole time. He's got the whole world in his hands, like you sung in Sunday school. It's not that I'm against the idea of a creator. I think there is a creator. But I think you start to study like what the cult believes. They believe there is a creator, and he created the world, and now he sits back and watches his creation. And I'm not sure that's exactly how it is either, but that really does seem to be more the case than all these people who think God's doing everything at all times and controlling every last thing. And it's just like, it's all part of God's plan. You listen to Joel Osteen. Don't worry that these horrible things are happening to you. It's because you don't understand. It's part of God's plan for 400 years from now. It's like, oh, yeah, well, that's so comforting, Joel Osteen. Here, let me send you some more money so you can buy another private jet. Have another mass shooting in your church by the numbers to get some more sympathy and money sent in. Remember Joel Osteen? He's such a great guy, but he couldn't take in the flood victims after Harvey hit him with the weather warfare that they synced the World Series up with. L.A. was burning. Houston was underwater. Water puts out fires. Houston beat L.A. in the World Series, which we called, and Vice News wrote a hit piece on me because we called it all, months in advance. But, oh, what do you know? The trolls just started calling nonstop. Trolls are blowing up my phone. I got to turn away so they don't ignore me or annoy me. I hate how there's this new thing with your phone where it starts leaving the voicemail of all the crazy crap they're saying. But anyway, Yeah, this is exactly what I shared. I just said, here, I'll show you what Twitter did. And this keeps happening now. Twitter's become so much more censorship ever since little Elon Musk Jesuit puppet. Uh, look, here's what I wrote. Susan Wojcicki's son was found dead 223 days after her 55th birthday. The synagogue Satan 223, Satan 55, hashtag Gematria. Visibility limit. This post may violate X's rules against hateful conduct. Oh. Really? Just for sharing that, huh? Like, you know what? I feel like, God, we need to figure out how to do a major class action lawsuit that actually changes the policies and behaviors of big tech social media. Couldn't we make that, like, isn't this somehow, I guess private companies don't have to abide by the First Amendment, but it's like, I'm just sharing something that's like spiritual knowledge. Again, it's right from the Bible, the most printed book in the world, the first printed book in the world, nonetheless. Again, just how the technology's always been used to control the minds of the masses. This is the word of God, mass printed for you, good slaves. Be sure to read Ephesians 6, 5 through 9, because that's really why we printed this book for you. But yeah, Susan, you were a bad liar. You were a bad liar, and now the verse really fits, And what day did her son die? Oh, the 44th day of the year. 44th day. Susan, how many videos of mine did you take down? How many did you take down where I was educating about the cabal and killing people by the 44 code? How many videos did you take down, Susan? Are you out there? Like, seriously, maybe your son's life could have been spared had you not censored the information, Susan. Maybe this is karma. It's not right, though. It's not her son's fault, but what I'm saying is true. She probably took down 2,000 videos at least on the topic of murder in 44 and the synagogue of Satan. And what are you going to do? He was found Tuesday at about 4:23 p.m. I might need to look into 1623 military. There might be something in that 423 number I just don't know. That's very specific. At about 423. If we were in the Reefer Madness era, they'd say it was a fatal bong rip. Let's see. Donald Trump's gold sneakers. The man with the golden comb over now has gold sneakers to go with his gold-plated apartment. And, did you see what day these released? 2/18. Remember how Trump, when he had his presidential alert that went to our cell phones, it had to go out at 2:18 Eastern time. And then they did it again this year on 10/4 at 2:18 Eastern time. And that's part of Trump's legacy. There's other ciphers in Gematria. There's one that's caps sensitive. So Trump in all capital letters, like how you might see it on his building. Derek renamed every cipher. I think now it's called capitals added. Yeah. So when Trump's name is all in caps, so this cipher, it's just lowercase a through lowercase z's 1 through 26 and uppercase a through uppercase z's 27 through 52. Trump has this 218 connection, and there's been plenty of Trump 218 rituals over the year. But really what 218 is about is who controls his puppet strings. The Holy Roman Empire, which did not die on August 6th, 1806, as it goes down in history. That was the 218th day of the year. It's alive and well in the Roman Catholic Church. And again, Trump is their puppet. Jesuit educated at Fordham. The shoe sneakers known as the Never Surrender sneaker. And notice, never surrender. Come back just to our regular ciphers. You see how the Never Surrender has the 78 and 84 in it, like Jesuit? The 78's the big one. Well, that 192 is everywhere right now. I'll save that for later. But again, they're calling Trump the insurrectionist. He's going to turn 78 later this year on June 14th. 78 cards in the tarot deck. But it's just another 78 thing, the Never Surrender sneaker. And it does have a longer, fuller name. If you read some articles, the Never Surrender high top sneaker apparently is the full name, which equals 165, like how Trump's birthday is the 165th day of the year. So is the U.S. flags. And the flag was born in Philly. Look at where the shoe went on sale. In Philadelphia, where all those members of that secret society created this nation. And again, Philadelphia, one of the Christian churches in Revelation, the one that gets the letter about the synagogue of Satan. Revelation 3. And again, just if you're new here, Philadelphia, look at the Gematria. 101.65. It gets the 223 as well, like the synagogue of Satan's 223. But look at 101.65.61. First, the 101.61. Christian is 101 and 61 like church, the Church of Philadelphia in Revelation. And then the 65, Christianity is 65. And Philadelphia was established on October 27th in history, which is the day leaving 65 days left in the year. Big number with Philly. We call it the 65 city in sports. All those other numbers definitely matter too. But yeah, it's just fitting that Mr. Flag, again, he has the same birthday as the flag, sewn in Philly, that the shoe goes on sale there. What's the quote about how when tyranny arrives in America, it'll wrap itself in the flag and have a Bible in its hand or something like that? Obviously, it happened a long time ago. Another porn star's dead, and almost every time a porn star's dead, they say it's a suicide. And, what stands out about this supposed suicide are a number of things, including it happened on the 46th day of the year. Remember, I meant to write sacrifice. In Genesis 46 begins with the sacrifice. See it a lot. Snoop Dogg's brother was dead at 44 on this day. Execution has the 44 and 46. So on the 46th day, supposedly a suicide, and then her dying at 36, that stands out because XXX, which goes with pornography. Again, she's a porn star. X is the 24th letter. Just a ton of X stuff this year in 2024. I saw that Netflix added a horror movie just recently called X, and it's like, I think, about a group of people shooting a porno, and then it turns into a horror movie. Sweet lady didn't want to watch that one, understandably. But yeah, it's just like how perfect this comes out in 2024. X is the 24th letter. The numerology of 24 is 6. So XXX is also 666, and 666 is the 36th triangular number. I was saying there's a lot of 247 stuff, while the Illuminati and this country is 247 years old. Her name, Kagney Linn Karter, is 247. Again, it's just, we've been talking about it all year, over and over. Detroit, established on 24/7, had a really good year in the NFL. And then how did it go down in the conference championship? They're up 24-7 at halftime, and then the third quarter starts, and they put up on the screen that the last time the Niners and Lions were in a championship was 1957, and the Niners were up 24-7 at halftime and blew the lead and lost the game. Well, then history repeated itself just with the opposite scenario. Instead, the Lions with the lead blow the lead, and the 49ers advanced to the Super Bowl. Had to punk Detroit again. I couldn't find this woman's birthday, so... Well, I did see one website, but I found one website where it has her birthday, but I've noticed in the past that website's not real credible, so I didn't do it. I see she's from the same town as Eminem. I didn't even look to see if there's a connection with Eminem, but he's also from St. Joseph, Missouri. And keep in mind, from Missouri, who just won the Super Bowl. Missouri, the 24th state, just won the Super Bowl with the Chiefs, who got their 24th playoff win all time, and Mahomes' 89th career win, the 24th prime. Just like how yesterday in the Daytona 500, the 24 cars steals the show for Hendrick Motorsports on their 40th anniversary after the race was delayed to Hendrick Motorsports' 40th anniversary because of rain. And we talked about how that could be a sign for that driver. There were a handful of drivers we really liked who had a narrative, and he was one of them, the guy who ended up winning it. And Hendrick Motorsports took first and second place. The experts love that Alex Bowman who finished in second, but they're both on Hendrick Motorsports. And by the way, if you missed it, President's Day, 192. Yesterday could be written 19/2. The huge wreck that changed the outcome of the race happened in the 192nd lap. And they started talking about it right away, how Hendrick Motorsports were the biggest beneficiary of the wreck because their cars got through somehow. Could it all have been that rehearsed and scripted? Again, they're talking about how these guys simulate those scenarios on computers, just like how pilots simulate on Flight Trainer. Anyway. We've seen NASCAR wrecks by the numbers. We've documented many a times. And this time you got the perfect President's Day special. Sweet lady, man. Sweet lady. She's... I can't watch NASCAR like I would. I might die of boredom, like literally, if I had to watch an entire NASCAR race. But I saw it was down to like 15 laps. I checked on my phone. There were 15 laps remaining. So I turned it on and I was telling Sweet Lady about the sport. And I said, what often happens in NASCAR around this time is they'll end up being a big wreck because some of these guys try to make a move that's dangerous. And she's like, really? Really? And I'm explaining this to her. And then it was just minutes later that, boom, the wreck happened. But she was like in disbelief that people watch this sport. She's like, God, so people just watch these cars drive in a circle for this many hours? I said, I know, it blows my mind too. She's like, she's like, you couldn't pay me to go to this. But then when she saw the wreck, she's like, oh, actually, that might actually be really interesting to see in person. And I said, well, I think that's what people actually show up for. She's like, I might actually want to do that. And I was like, really? Just from seeing the wreck? But that is my belief also, that that's the only reason people go to those races. They're just waiting for the disaster. Because, I mean, seriously, how can you just watch cars drive in a circle for hours? They are going fast, but I don't know. To each their own, I suppose. Also in the news. Did I just accidentally close it? What did I just do? Also in the news, another guy from the world of celebrity and entertainment just dead at 44. And from reading the stories, it sounds like they're making it sound like this might be a suicide too, because they're saying he was battling depression. But isn't it just funny how the same numbers again and again, over and over, kill 44, execution 44, 4, the number of the occult that's associated with death, 44, the rep digit of 4. Robin Windsor, Strictly Come Dancing professional, dies aged 46. So this is in the news today. None of the articles are real clear about when he died, but Wikipedia's jumped ahead and said he died February 19th. I'm wondering if it might get moved to February 18th, which was the kill date for the month, and that's because it was the date with the 44, 64, 28 date numerology, like Kill has Gematria 44, 64, 28. And we know the big story here in the U.S. on that day was Burnsville, and now we have an update on that, which we'll talk more about. The Burnsville killing of the 2 officers and the firefighter. But this news breaking today has a lesser date numerology of 46. And again, it's just like last week. It was Snoop Dogg's brother at 44 on the 46th day of the year. Now it's a 44-year-old announced dead on the 46th date numerology. And he went by the name Bobby, I guess, in the show. Bobby's 46. It's also 19. Wikipedia is saying he died on the 19th of February. And his most recent show they said he did was called Come What May. Well, Come What May has the 46 170, just like Sacrifice does. And if he did die February 19th, that was a date with 65 numerology. And that's a big number in the United Kingdom. And he was a star over there for dancing. But yeah, I mean, really the big takeaway is just 44 years old. And, you know, I'm noticing one other thing as well. Just reading his little early life thing that didn't dawn on me before. At the age of 15, Windsor moved to London to pursue his career as a dancer. Well, that means he died 29 years later, and London's also 29. So, but yeah, I mean, just I can't believe that just more people haven't caught on, like I always say. This literally the same numbers just put in front of people's faces day after day after day. And I looked at this for a decade and didn't know what it was, but I knew there was something about the patterns in the numbers. Ever from 9/11 through 2013, I was trying to figure out what it was. That was over a decade, 12 years, trying to figure out what it was about numbers and patterns and rituals, because it was so obvious to me that something was going on with this. It became very obvious on 9/11, national emergency on 911. And then all those things going down in 1968 connected to 9/11. 33 years earlier, the lead hijacker, World Trade Center construction, 911 made the code. George W. Bush graduated from Yale, the sitting president at the time. The Jets' only Super Bowl season in light of 9/11 Patriot Act, Patriots. Not to mention Drew Bledsoe got sacked, and then Tom Brady, you know, became the guy after they played the Jets, and Mo Lewis wrecked Drew Bledsoe. But okay, the update in the Burnsville killing of the 3 officers. Would you believe that they were all killed on 33rd Avenue by a 38-year-old on the kill date? And again, this is like George Floyd. George Floyd, this was in Minnesota, Burnsville, Minnesota. George Floyd killed in Minnesota on the corner of 38th Street. And then the rioting began on 33rd Street. And again, in the most pure cipher, Minnesota's 38. In that same cipher, police is 33, masonry's 33, secrecy's 33, orders 33, federal's 33. And, if you're new here, death is also 38 for a 38-year-old killer. Murder's 38, killing's 38, RIP's 38. But yeah, killed on the kill date. And again, with the 44-64 numerology, Burnsville's 44 and 64, like kill. And now I saw they're having a fundraiser at the Hope Diner, which is also 44 and 64. Shout out to the person who left that piece of information. In a somewhat related story, on the same day these killings happened, you had the NBA All-Star three-point contest, and Damian Lillard at age 33 was the only contestant who was 33, won the three-point contest, just all those threes. Masonry running the nation, masonry running the sports. And Lillard is now in Wisconsin, right next door to Minnesota, but I'm not saying this was a sacrifice for the three-point contest. I'm just reminding number rituals, rig sports, rig news, ritual murder. Numbers being a big part of all of it. Masonry. What do they etch on the temple? All is number. So it said the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension says 38-year-old Shannon Gooden is the man. Shannon is a unisex name, I suppose. Is the man who shot and killed Burnsville police officers Paul Elmstrand, it's like Nightmare on Elm Street, Matthew Rouge, and Burnsville firefighter and paramedic Adam Finseth. I didn't even look at the name of the shooter, but just out of curiosity. Shannon Gooden. Shannon Gooden. Well, what do you know? Shannon Gooden, 64, like Burnsville, like kill, going perfectly with the date numerology. And how do they make it all happen? Again, I don't have all the answers, but I'd always reference people to a show like Utopia, where they show that, they got, Utopia references a few different things. One, they're raising people to be mass shooters. That's one. Two is they show that they have like secret sleeper agents who are like normal people. Like there's a scene in Utopia where this guy has a family and he's a mechanic at the auto shop, but then he gets some weird phone call and some signals put in him, and then he turns into a serial killer. And yeah, I'd be curious to know more about Shannon Gooden. Is he former military? And then he fatally shot himself. I'm pretty sure I'd have to go back and watch Utopia, but I think after the guy who they put the signals there and he turns into serial killer, I'm pretty sure he ends up shooting himself too when he's done with his mission. If I remember right, that's what he does. And yeah, these guys might all just been working the wrong shift. And again, we've seen a lot of suspicious things happen to officers on the kill date. Officers, another word, with 44. And again, just the whole George Floyd parallel. Minneapolis and Burnsville are on the 44th parallel north. And Derek Chauvin, the George Floyd killer, was 44 years old at the time. So. Also in the news, you might have heard about this, the transgender funeral at the Catholic Church in New York that made the headlines because I guess the things the people who showed up said. But Fox News has to give you the headline "Mocking God," and you see how Mocking God has the 53. That's the key one, and the 172. If you're new here, we talk about how every time there's anything transgender in the news, it's always 53. If you look at the first official transgender person in the history of the world, there's a Wikipedia for them. They died in a big 53 ritual. We've been documenting transgender news stories in 53 a bazillion times. And it's also, Susan, who just lost her son. She took down probably 50 videos on the topic for hate speech. And it's like, there wasn't ever any hate speech. We're showing how all the information in the media is coded. Gets real annoying when they take you down for hate speech. And you're like, I didn't say anything bad. I just said, I don't think it's right that they're trying to program children to think this is cool. I think they'll probably have regrets someday. And I think those are fair, logical opinions. And it is having a big impact. Like I said, I have 3 nephews and a niece, but now my niece wants to be recognized as a nephew as well. She changed her name on her 18th birthday. So far, she hasn't done anything, as far as I know, that she can't take back, but she's going with this I'm a boy type of thing. So, and my sister, she's real deep in all the like liberal propaganda. So it's, perfect demographic for that to happen to her daughter. But the person whose funeral too, I just look at the name of the person whose funeral it was, and I'm like, okay, that last name seems a little suspect. Cecilia Gentili, like genitals, gender. For the record, just with the whole transgender 53 thing, the word gender itself is also 53. And the funeral for this person, this person was 52, which also means that they died in their 53rd year of life, right? 53rd year of life. People were offended because it was a man who identified as a woman. And at the funeral, they were saying he was the mother of all women. And yeah, there's a number. The name of the person is the same as the cathedral. Just the gematria is the same as everything. So it's like, okay, is this whole thing like staged to just create more outrage and division in society? The person's name, 73, and it's St. Patrick's Cathedral. St. Patrick's Cathedral, 73, same cipher, right? And then the 89 in the name stands, the 260 stands out as well. There's 260 chapters in the New Testament. The 89 stands out because religion's 89. There's 89 chapters in the gospel. In one of the headlines called it a sacrilegious funeral, which is another 89. So yeah, just all perfect. The funeral on the 46th day of the year. Again, chaos is kind of the idea of what happened. Chaos 49 or 46. The Latin for chaos, order ab chao, which is what they etch on Masonic temples, is also 46. But yeah, that's, just the latest 53 transgender observation. And then also in video game news, Ubisoft, who makes the video game series about the Templars, Assassin's Creed, they've turned it into movies. So now they put out a video game called Skull and Bones, right? And I was reading about the game. They're saying this is one of the most expensive video games in the history of video games. It reportedly took 11 years to finish. And the critics are blown away by how much money was spent and how long it took to release. Because, we were covering this probably when I still lived at my house in Bothell. I think this game was supposed to be released like back in 2017 on November 8th, if I remember right. Something like that. But just they kept pushing the release date back and back. And now all the critics are saying, this game's not very good. It seems impossible that it take this long and this much money to make. Like, everyone's baffled by this game. I was just reading about it. I had to do some research on Skull and Bones in light of, the most powerful secret society essentially in the world, Yale Skull and Bones, having the same name. But look at it. First of all, the game's about pirates, right? And they finally released it on the 47th day of the year. Pirates 47. But here's the kicker. Skull and Bones with the ampersand is 130, right? Skull and Bones with the ampersand. Because normally we talk about Skull and Bones with that word and. But anyhow, Skull and Bones 130. Guess how many days this game released after Yale, where Skull and Bones is, the secret society turned 322 years old. Turned 322 on October 9th, 2023. Skull and Bones, the secret society, is known as Order 322. Go figure. Here, I'll show you with your own eyes. October 9th, 2023. Yale's 322nd birthday to the game's release on the 47th day of the year. 130 days, right? So I know it's depending where you look. Some places have the ampersand and some have the and. But this can't be an accident, right? The game finally releases about pirates on the 47th day of the year. The thing about Ubisoft making the game about the Templars, Assassin's Creed, Skull and Bones, the secret society at Yale, gets their symbolism from how the Templars bury their dead in an ossuary, decompose the body in a shallow grave, then put the bones in the box, which is an ossuary, the decorated box, like a mini coffin. Because now all the bones get stacked in there. And then the last thing put in are the biggest bones in the body, the thigh bones crossed, and then the skull on the top. And again, that's where Yale Skull and Bones gets their symbolism from. So you have this video game company that makes the Templar series, and now they make the Skull and Bones. Go figure. But they're called Ubisoft. I was looking into this company. This company was founded in France by a bunch of French brothers. A bunch of family members created this company. Who was burned at the stake in France? Oh, that's right, the Templars. But Ubisoft, you see how it's 43? Look at Yale. Yale 43, right? Just like how George H.W. Bush was the 43rd vice president. His son was the 43rd president. His other son was the 43rd governor of Florida, which is another 43. Like Brady went down there and played for the Skull and Crossed Swords team at age 43 and then won the Super Bowl. And football's 43. And Walter Camp was a member of Yale and Skull and Bones, who's credited with American football. But yeah, again, all these people who are dumbfounded and just can't figure out why the game took so long to release and how this much money could have possibly been spent over all these years. Here, Gematria provides the answer. The reason they literally didn't release this game for years after it was supposed to be finished is because it's obvious. They're paying tribute to Yale's Skull and Bones, Order 322, while Yale's 322 years old. And then here's the thing. I remember covering this many years ago when the game was going to release on November 8th, right? And, somewhere in cyberspace, in the toilet or the bowels of cyberspace where all the YouTube videos got censored, that old video's there. I was talking about why it was going to release on November 8th, right? Now the game releases 118 days from the anniversary of George Herbert Walker Bush's birthday. George Herbert Walker Bush is 118. 41, he was number 41. 41 is 118. And ossuary, where they get their symbolism from, where they bury the dead, is 118. And remember, Skull and Bones, when you write it with and, is 41 like he was number 41. 202 like his birthday, June 12th, is the day leaving 202 days left in the year. 7-6, like how his son's birthday is July 6th, and the Georgia Guidestones came down on his son's 76th birthday on 7-6. And they came down on the 202nd day of the Pope's age. And the 149 matters because that's the 35th prime. JFK was born on the 149th day of the year, became the first Catholic president. Again, all these things are Catholic. Skull and Bones is modeled after the Templars, who are the old military of the Catholic Church. Catholics 35. But again, JFK born on the 149th day of the year. Remember who was in attendance the day he got assassinated in the city established in 1841? Dallas. Dallas is another 41. George Herbert Walker Bush, who'd go on to be number 41, was there. So, and he says he doesn't remember what he was doing there that day. So yeah, the video, again, just the whole world of video game players are just so dumbfounded by this game. How it could take so long, how it could have so much money spent and be so mediocre. And the truth is, it was probably done 5-6 years ago. It's just been sitting on the back burner for the ritualistic release. And again, that shows you what kind of world it is. And for everyone who's like, why would they do that? They're a publicly traded company and they got money to make and shareholders to please. Again, you got to take a step back and really look at this world for what it is. Are you sure that's the way the world works? Are you sure that's how it works? Are you sure not everything's just totally manipulated by a code for the cabal to make sure they know what stock to invest in the day before it blows up, what stock to pull out the day before it falls apart. Just like all these cryptos that move by the numbers. Everyone thinks Bitcoin is so safe and protected. No, it's not. Look at the top engineers of Bitcoin. They're all Catholics. And that's why it moves on a ritualistic Catholic scale every year, synced up with Valentine's Day, a day that could hardly be any more Catholic. Again, that's the 45th day of the year. Like Bitcoin is 45 and Nakamoto's 45 and his birthday is, I forget. I gotta go back and check. It's some other 45 thing. But anyway. Like I'm trying to show every day, the world is being manipulated. The world isn't what people think it is. It's the Bill Hicks joke from many years ago. And no, Bill Hicks is not Alex Jones. They were both alive at the same time. Bill Hicks was taller, looked a lot different at the time. Alex Jones was a younger guy. Alex Jones was short and stocky. Bill Hicks was tall and thin. Different haircuts, different face. But anyway, Bill Hicks would always talk about, just how fake the world was and how fake the economy was. And he wasn't wrong. We see how manipulated it is. Remember when they told you that inflation was at 7.9% because of Ukraine's war with Russia? Like, oh, yeah, I'm sure. Sure, it's not because we just printed all this money for stimulus because we had to lock down the world for the 99.9% survival illness that was killing 80-some-year-olds in nursing homes. Everybody just walked along with that. Well, the news told me so. And by the way, with all the 47, you guys, the reason 47 is in the news so much is not by accident. It's right in the Gematria news. But yeah, again, I don't know what else to say. The numbers tell the story, even on video games. CNN finally replaced their top story. Notorious drug lord's prison escape throws Ecuador into chaos. Oh. The gang leader lived like a king in prison. His jailbreak shines a light on Ecuador's lawless prisons. I'm sure Netflix has the new show coming out on it. Remember what Griselda? We saw Griselda died in a nice Illuminati 201 ritual. Order of Illuminati, you guys. 20193. She died 201 days after her birthday on September 3rd, 93. Again, big hit show on Netflix right now. She was 69. Illuminati 69. Keep in mind the Jesuit order, which founded the Illuminati, is 69 and 201 as well. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that all these major drug lords in the world are also just little CIA puppets. So they can blame it on some guy other than the men in the suits that love to funnel it in, especially to the poor communities. So they can escort them out into their cages and turn them into corporate slave labor. Ecuador's most notorious gang leader lived like a king while locked up. His jailbreak shines a light on the country's lawless prisons. With its 4-piece bathroom suite, queen-size bed and mini fridge, the untidy prison cell, the notorious leader of the Los Chineros gang, Jose Adolfo Macias, could have been in a hotel instead of one of Ecuador's largest prison complexes. What did the headline say? Yeah, so I think they're painting the picture that this probably wasn't an escape, right? If he's living a life of luxury in the prison, getting all kinds of special treatment, it's probably not an actual escape. It's probably a orchestrated release. Remember when they were doing the nonstop 33 El Chapo headlines? God, that was back when in the early years of this research, it was like every other week they had a new 33 El Chapo headline. El Chapo was 33 in Gematria. And like literally they did have stories like El Chapo had 33 luxury shirts in his closet in his prison. And El Chapo might have escaped in a laundry bin with 33 towels in it. I mean, I'd have to go back and look, but it was nonstop, you guys. It was ridiculous. It's like, and it was always so dumb. It's just like, really, 33 towels. Oh, okay. Who counted that? Yeah, it's hard to believe sometimes that we've been documenting this stuff for so long, and people are like, I don't think it reveals anything. I think it's mostly all coincidental. Joe Rogan predicts. Why don't they cover my predictions? They've been a lot better than anybody's. Joe Rogan started out on news radio. Now he's Mr. Podcast. Another puppet on the world stage who never says anything about anything that matters. And just to think that literally, if you go back and watch his original podcast, he literally in his original days of his podcast, he started every single show talking about jerking off and telling everybody they should buy a fleshlight because it feels really good. It's just like, that is who this guy is. Oh man, that's the way to the top. Here, buy this jerk off device. Now, a nation of here, let's see. Did he say it today? Podcast host Joe Rogan speculated the Democratic Party is preparing to swap out President Biden with California Governor Gavin Newsom. Jesuit Newsom. Remember, Newsom's 56 right now. That's a possible scenario. Biden has been, people don't know, Gavin Newsom equals 56, like Society of Jesus, like Washington, D.C., going all the way back to those 56 signers on the Declaration of Independence and up through him saying 56% of California would get the cooties in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. Is this his remark from today? When did he say it? That's what I want to know. When did he say it? Did he say it today? I want to see if there's some ritual to it. Here, let's see. Did the news break today? Rogan, Newsom. Let's see what comes up. 6 hours ago, 4 hours ago. I'm guessing 44 minutes ago. I'm guessing. Here, they're making the news today. Gavin Newsom's birthday is October 10th. I want to say Rogan's birthday is August 11th, if I remember right. I know Newsom's birthday is October 10th, though. And I know he's 56. Oh, weird. What do you know? Right where we started today. Wow. So 133 days after Newsom's birthday, Joe Rogan's got the prediction that he's going to become the presidential candidate. What do you know? President 133, White House. Isn't this just where we started? And I was talking about how, Jesuit Trump, he was the 133rd richest man. They had to put it up on the screen. I remember Joe Rogan had what's the fat Jewish lady comedian that people like? God, I can't think of her name right now. It was like 2016, 2017, though. He had her on her show. She's had to apologize recently for remarks. But yeah, he had her on, and he's like, you heard of this Gematria thing? This letters and numbers thing? It's like, all these idiots have watched a video or two of mine, and they just can't bring me on to share, these fucking puppets. God. But yeah, you just see that again. You just see the puppet strings. So he has to put it out. It has to be today's news, 133 days after Gavin Newsom's birthday. And just for the person who doesn't know that Gavin Newsom's born October 10th, I'll just show you. October 10th, 67, 56 years old. Okay, we don't lie over here. We got nothing but facts. So Biden's birthday is November 20th. Let's just do a quick check on that. It's 92 days after Biden's birthday. That would be his 93rd day of his age. The election is November 5th, the day leaving 56 days left in the year. But Newsom will turn 57 before then. 259 days, 37 weeks. I forget if 259 has a connection with the church. Here, is Joe Rogan's birthday August 11th? Let me go back and check if that's true. It is. Oh, he's also 56. Go figure. I forgot how old he was. They're born in the same year, these two, huh? It's 193 days after Rogan's birthday, the 44th prime. Well, I know Roman Catholic Church is 193. Roman Catholicism's 259. What did we just say? It was 259 days to the election. Is that what it is? Joe, I did. Okay, so it's 37 weeks to the election. Joe, 37 is the 12th prime. Oh, Joe's also 51. Today's the 51st day of the year. But you see how Joe's 12? 37 is the 12th prime. It's 37 weeks to the election. Joe Biden's the current president, right? Joey Logano was doing so good yesterday on President's Day until his car got wiped out with the race at the end, setting it up for Hendrick Motorsports on their 40th anniversary. And what else is wild is, you see how Hendrick Motorsports, we talked about this stuff before the race. You see how it's 260? Yesterday was 260 days before the election, just in light of how they sync up everything, sports, news, politics, President's Day. Again, President's Day, 192. On 19/2, the race goes off, and on the 192nd lap, disaster. But I was going to make the point about Joe. Joe's super connected to the UFC, and he made his debut at UFC 12, Joe Rogan. If you didn't know that, you can look that up. Joe Rogan made his UFC debut at number 12. UFC is also 12. Actually, UFC and Joe are just a perfect overlap, to be perfectly clear. So Joe was made for the UFC. Forget what Joe Rogan is. 85, like he's Susamnum Salvatore. Okay. But yeah, man, I mean, if anybody wants to clip this, it'd be nice if it's like there were people just so dedicated to helping get this work out there. If I just had like 1 million people watching that would all clip it and blast Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, why are you making predictions? 133 days after Gavin Newsom's birthday, when Zachary K. Hubbard opened up his stream about 133 and what's happened to the Russian guy and the president and the history. And again, you guys, you just like, you see how government's 133 and so is football? Joe Rogan's never going to tell you these things, but there's a reason that the NFL was born on the 133rd birthday of the Constitution. Again, it's the entertainment that keeps everybody on their ass. It's just like, when that Diablo game came out last summer in a big 201 ritual synced with the Jesuit Pope or the Superior General, the Black Pope. And now, of course, Elon Musk, Jesuit puppet's playing the game. Supposedly has time to, max out his characters and invest a lot of time and run all these companies in the world, I'm sure. But I was talking about how just like all the trending topics on YouTube and how people were disappointed in the game and how there were so many people that were so disappointed with the game, just video after video on YouTube, like the game was supposed to be way better. And then like literally the company that makes the game had to come out and do like an address and talk to the fan base and communicate and promise to make changes. And again, I mean, it's just symbolic of our society, you guys. It's just like we have nobody who cares about anything that matters. But you'll have millions of grown men like up in arms because the video game's not as good as they want it to be. And they're putting all their energy and focus into that. But then they got the company to address them and make changes and improvements and promise like they're going to do routine feedback to keep in touch with the community. It's like, imagine if millions of people had done that when they locked down the nation because some people died in a nursing home. Maybe our government would have been accountable and stepped back, and people are like, we don't want you following what they're saying in Switzerland. This isn't Switzerland. We don't care what Klaus Schwab at the World Economic Forum says. But nobody cared. And again, it's also conditioning, right? Like people have been conditioned to just bow down to authority. And I don't know, entertainment's just, it's older than almost, well, yeah, it's really old. It goes way back. But it's just like the entertainment devices that hold people's attentions. They've been around for long enough. The TV, all these things, and just a lot of us grew up in front of the TV. We had parents that weren't home; they were working. We grew up in front of the TV. We were given video games to occupy ourselves. But yeah, it's just that's the kind of world we live in, where people care more about how good their video game is than how tyrannical their government is. And yeah, again, it must have been the Matrix today that had Joe Rogan come out on script, perfectly sync with Gavin Newsom. God must favor Gavin Newsom's undertaking. So, shout out to John Mendoza, always with the generous dollars. I appreciate it, John. If everybody had a dollar like John, we'd be flowing like CNN. Thank you. We'd be a lot better than CNN. Let me clarify my words. I'm just saying we'd have the resources like they have. We'd be broadcasting from everywhere. We would have been there the day they were in Ukraine showing the plastic dummy that got killed from the tank. We'd have been right there to say, oh, hold on, you guys. Don't be duped. This is a plastic dummy. It should have been obvious enough on the CNN broadcast, but here, we'll hold up for you. It's hollow and plastic. You know, GematriaEffectNews. And I'd have RPM Trey there, the Purge Night with me. Shout out to RPM Trey. I don't even know what a Purge Night is, but hey, if RPM Trey's all about it, I'm supporting the gear. RPM Trey, if you guys don't know, he sent me a whole bunch of gear. I appreciate it. Out of the goodness of his heart. Gematria Sense chipped in $10. And Trump sneakers are never surrendered. Indeed. Yeah, you probably said that. I bet you gave me this super chat before I got to that part of the stream, or you came here after. But yeah, another 78. Again, Donald Trump about to turn 78. Insurrectionist 78. 78 cards in the tarot deck. Yesterday, I read your first chapter of your first book and was amazed at all the 26s. I was wondering if you had thumb acquainted 26 and you had much more. I don't know. I don't remember if I covered thumb. If you guys have, I think that's the best chapter of any book I ever wrote. The first chapter of my first book, Letters and Numbers. And that is a great way to support the work, you guys, because they don't take 30% like Google does. But Letters and Numbers, number games. Or I also made it so if you pledge $1 on Patreon, just scroll down a few posts. You can download both ebooks for $1 if you just pledge $1. But Letters and Numbers, opening chapters all about 26, why there's 26 letters in the alphabet, how the number literally connects the stars above, us as humans, the language, religion. I mean, you start to think about it. 206 bones in the adult body, 260 chapters in the New Testament. The body's the temple. Shout out to Rick James, always with the membership donations. Appreciate that, Rick. Thank you again, 13 Serpents, always with the generosity. And Richard Quinn, Burnsville shooter name. Yeah. I bet you had that up here before I got to that. Nice decode. On the 64 date numerology, Burnsville 64, the shooter's name 64, the word kill 64. Same stuff month after month, same trolling month after month. Dumb comments like, why don't you call this before it happens? It's like, well, I mean, the world's a big place. Did we not circle the date for the kill date way in advance and say to look for the story to unfold with those exact numbers, 64, 44, 44th parallel, a town name that equals 64 and 44? I don't know what more you want from me. If you're still there like, oh, that's not good enough, I'm not convinced, and maybe it's just because you're a little short here in the IQ department. The Susan Wojcicki decode. Are you trying to have me pull that back up? Because that's the thing they're most likely to take the video down for. Again, X took down my post for just sharing the significance of her son dying 223 days after her 55th birthday on the 44th day of the year. But again, just the synagogue of Satan, those who are liars. And Susan was a liar. I mean, that's not hate speech to call her a liar. She was a liar. She blatantly lied about YouTube's policies, and people like me were the victims of her lies. She said they weren't going to take down people's channels for old content anymore. I got taken down again for the same type of thing for like the 1,000th time, just days after she said it. So. But yeah, this should also be a reminder that, the you-know-whos aren't running the show. So. All right. And like Gematria32 said, please hit the like button. we're going to leave it there. I got to hop over on the Patreon. It's time for our daily sports stream. Also, shout out to Amawan again, always with the generosity as well. And yeah, see everybody over on the Patreon who supports. Till next time, True Seeker.